Hey everyone, I'm Olivi, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. It came as a shock to the MMA community when this fighter left his longtime gym recently. But that surprise was nothing compared to the reaction felt around the globe when he agreed to fight his longtime training partner in a compelling matchup that highlights this weekend's UFC card at Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights.
Coming up next.
Every fighter starts out with a clean slate and lofty dreams. But fight by fight, the talent pool shrinks, and only a select few will rise to the top in the UFC. You've done your part so far, growing your fan following while earning the respect of your peers in the octagon, stamping yourself as a fighter on the fast track to a championship. But even now, it's clear that this taste of success will either push you to greater heights or send you tumbling, making your winning streak a distant memory. Which path will you choose?
I'm Olivi, and this is your UFC Minute. As a fighter's wins begin to add up, the pressure to maintain momentum becomes a major factor. Every fighter who competes in the octagon will tell you that he will take a win by any means possible. But as one of the UFC's top strikers, this heavyweight star is taking the judges out of the equation, as he has used fists and feet to finish each of his opponents during his winning streak by way of spectacular knockout. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights.
See, a fighter needs someone to push him to be great. McGregor had Diaz, Jones had Cormier, and Silva had Sonnen. Each series didn't just pit the best against the best, but it matched up rivals that had personal scores to settle. And when the octagon door shut, the bad blood reached a boiling point. Who will be the one to step up and put this feud to rest? Or give up bragging rights once and for all?
Coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Olivi, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. Throughout the history of the UFC, it's no secret that having a strong wrestling game has been a key to success for several world champions and Hall of Famers. This heavyweight fighter seems to agree, as he announced this week that he was making the move to a new camp, where the focus is on embracing the grind and getting down to business in the wrestling room on a daily basis. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights. Hey everyone, I'm Olivi, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. It's an old fight game adage that fans love nothing more than a knockout. If that's the case, then they will love this heavyweight banger, who was celebrated today for delivering the most knockouts in UFC history. A record achieved thanks to his devastating prowess in the octagon with his fists, feet, elbows, and knees. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights. I'm Olivi, and this is your UFC Minute. This weekend, we brace for a crucial matchup, which is expected to shake up an entire division. To get into position for a world title shot, this fighter has fought tooth and nail against the best the heavyweight division has to offer. And while getting into a #1 contenders match is sweet enough, if this fighter beats his heated rival to earn that shot at the belt, the victory would be even more satisfying. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights.
All right.
I'm Megan Olivi, and this is your UFC Minute. We've seen some of the top fighters in the world go from relatively unknown to some of the biggest names in the sport. There's a big difference between being a successful fighter in the UFC and being a star. But this fighter has clearly found the formula to be both, as several impressive wins in the octagon have seen him make his way up the heavyweight ladder and capture the imagination of fans eager to see him perform on the sport's biggest stage. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights.
All right, coming up next, it's a UFC heavyweight show.
I'm Megan Olivi, and this is your UFC Minute. As a fighter's wins begin to add up, the pressure to maintain momentum becomes a major factor. To win in the UFC isn't easy. To do it as many times in a row as this heavyweight standout has is a remarkable feat that has this fighter on the verge of even more big things in the world-renowned octagon, as he prepares for his latest battle in mixed martial arts' ultimate proving ground. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights. Hey everyone, I'm Megan Olivi, and it's time for your UFC Minute. The MMA world is buzzing about that incredible performance this past weekend in the main event. Last weekend at Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, it was a night to remember for the mixed martial artist whose story has captured the imagination of fans around the globe, as he fought the fight of his life when it mattered the most. When the dust settled, Bruce Buffer said, "and knew." And he was crowned UFC heavyweight champion of the world thanks to a memorable referee stoppage. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights. Hey everyone, I'm Megan Olivi, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. In mixed martial arts, if you're not evolving, you're losing. So, in an effort to make sure he continues on the right path to the top of the heavyweight division, this fighter announced this week that in order to keep building his skill set, he was packing his bags and leaving the gym where he got his start. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights.